Okay, welcome, welcome. All right, 10-minute video. 10-minute video. I'm gonna give you some quick thoughts, right? Just general consensus of the market, where we are, what phase of the market we're in. It's gonna be super basic stuff. I like to try and keep things basic, okay? Um, right, global liquidity, okay? Global liquidity, or M2 money supply of major central banks. This is the measurement of the available cash that major economies, major banks have, right? Okay, and when global liquidity peaks, that's typically the peak of the total available cash, right? When global liquidity peaks, people they feel more obliged to take out more loans. Okay, they have a lot more money to invest. Banks have a lot more money to loan. They have a lot more money to invest themselves, right? You tend to find there's massive stimulus into major economies, which is kind of like the phase we're heading into at the moment. Okay, China being one of the big leaders to massive stimulus, right? And if you consider this global liquidity chart, right, you can see when we peaked in 2021, okay, February 2021, and you can see when we peaked in 2008, 2009, right, March 2009, okay. Now they typically correlate with cycle tops, okay. If you think about crypto, Bitcoin at its first top in March, okay, well, March, April 2021, and then its second top, double top type scenario in November 2021, right? You can see, and if you think of, well, where the bottom of global liquidity was, okay, in 2019, this was I think this was when they began cutting rates, because the cut rate, 150 basis points were cut, obviously because of the COVID crash in 2020, and there was a massive push of stimulus into the economy, right? But in 2019, bear market, right? And then you had this big expansion into the peak of 2021, right? And I'm going to demonstrate in the chart at the moment why, you know, ex- this phase of expansion that it's only just beginning in crypto is, well, we've not even seen expansion across all the major central banks. Okay, we've not even seen expansion in the global liquidity. We are just seeing it. We're seeing an uptick, right? And that's it. We are seeing an uptick in global liquidity. Okay, you can probably bet that we will see global liquidity peak between Q4 next year and Q1 2026. There is another great chart. I can't actually find it at the moment, where it projects the potential time frame that global liquidity will peak and bottom out. Okay, and it was Q4 2025 and Q1 2026. Right, comparing that to last cycle, then that would imply that, well, Bitcoin is potentially going to peak Q4 next year, okay, or Q1 2026, right? I do favor that crypto and Bitcoin do peak next year, most likely Q4 next year, right? With the inevitable downtrend afterwards. Um, okay, so we'll jump into some charts. Listen, I would massively appreciate it if you just go ahead and give me a follow on Twitter, right? Give me, come join the Discord, come join the collective, right? Got a great community of people in there, got a load of knowledgeable guys that I call them mentors. They'll never consider themselves mentors, but they're fantastic individuals who have a lot of knowledge in trading and to macro, all right? They do this entirely free in their own time. They just want to help people just like me. and just come to join the Discord, right? In the Discord, I will be putting together my exit plan. It's going to be super detailed in there, and it will cover everything from macro to Elliott wave theory to price action to where I think a lot of these different tokens that we hold, different projects, different investments that we have are going to peak. So I've already done Cardano, I've already done Fetch. Go check them out. Okay, and TradingView. Go give me a follow on TradingView. I have just released, well, I've just published 2 of my pinescripts. Okay, first ever pinescript. You can see I was actually moderated on them at first because it's very difficult actually putting together the summary because TradingView moderators are really on top of, they're on top of their game. They expect like a full guide to your indicator. Okay, so go check them out. There's 2 publications, right? They're flying at the moment. Everyone loves them. I had a lot of positive feedback. Again, basic stuff, right? But super, in my opinion, super necessary improvements to, for example, the adapted RSI is a massive improvement to the original RSI that all the normies love and that everybody loves. Okay, right? So go check that out. I don't really trade the RSI, but I seen that there was improvements that I could make, so I just went ahead and done it. I'm purely price action. Right, so give me a follow on TradingView. I'd massively appreciate it. And yeah, I think let's dig into some charts, right? Let's dig into some charts, and I'll give you my thoughts on this expansion phase, okay? And I'm going to try and do this in 5 minutes, right? So where we are at the moment is expansion, right? I've just explained that expansion isn't just chart go up, okay? Expansion is major economies improving, it's low interest rate environments, right? It's quantitative easing, it's leaving quantitative tightening, right? It's major stimulus packages to economies, right? That's expansion, okay? It's not when major economies are still contracting, okay? It's when they're expanding, right? This is the phase we're in at the moment, or the phase that we're heading into. We're right at the beginning of expansion. This is phase 2, right? We've just left phase 1, which was accumulation. Had plenty of time to accumulate, and we're now in phase 2, okay? And then we head into distribution. So think about 2021 double top type scenario. That was distribution, okay? And then the inevitable downtrend afterwards, which always comes. It always comes, right? It always comes. Don't just think the market goes up forever. It will never, ever go up forever, right? That downtrend will come, okay? And I believe 2027, 2026, 2027, okay, is the downtrend and we begin to bottom out again, right? So let's have a look at Cardano, okay? And we'll try and be quite snappy with this so we don't do another 20-minute long video. So the other week I released a video on Bitcoin and we did similar type of scenario as we're going to do right now. We looked at Bitcoin and we compared price action from prior cycles. Okay, so 2012, 2013, 2016, 2017, and then 2020, 21, right? And we just compared the performance in Bitcoin, right? Pre-halving, halving years, okay, post-halving years, and what was the price action like? We're just going to do a similar type of scenario right now, right? So Bitcoin has just broke out in November. It did the same in 2020, okay? It broke out in November, right? And then there was a year long of gains then, okay, for Bitcoin. Same again for Cardano, okay? You had this initial run up to halving, sold off post halving, sell the news event, always is, okay? Sell off into the summer and then breakout in November, right? See the breakout candle? Breakout in November, expansion. Okay, you had one peak, which was May 2021, bit of a pullback over the summer, the second peak, which was September 2021, right? And as I said, the inevitable downtrend afterwards, okay? Which in fact lasted, before the first bottom, lasted just over a year. And then if you take from the first formation of the bottom to point of breakout, which is accumulation, okay? So this is phase one that we've just left, right? You know, that's roughly just under a year worth of consolidation, and you know, maybe potentially just over. Probably take it from this candle, monthly candle. Okay, so about a year, right? About a year worth of accumulation before you had the bounce up to the halving, okay, and then the inevitable sell-off, okay, over the summer, post-halving, reaccumulation, and you can just see the expansion candle we've got now in Cardano, right? So this is where we are at the moment with the market, and I expect that Cardano will peak, okay, Q4 next year, right, with potential for a pullback in Q2 over the summer, a little bit of a pullback, and then blow off top, right? Okay, so that's using Cardano as an example. If we move quickly just over to Bitcoin, because what I do want to emphasize is, okay, that's the wrong Bitcoin chart, is I don't think we're following 2021. Okay, it was an entirely different type of scenario. We had COVID, right? There was emergency interest rates being cut, and you had major stimulus just entering the major economies like straight away. So I don't think we're following this type of scenario. I think we're following a 2017 type scenario where you had the halving, sell off post halving, breakout candle in the Q4 2016, okay, November, December, and then it was just expansion, right? It was just expansion with very minor pullbacks along the way. And we peaked in quite literally the following year, okay, a year later, December 2017. This is the type of scenario I think we are following. I don't think we're following a 2021 type scenario. And you have to remember, we were still in COVID, okay? There was still lockdowns occurring through 2020 into 2021. So that was an entirely different type of scenario. I think it's practically up only to next Q4 now, right? And we can use, let's use VeChain as an example. Okay, VeChain has been absolutely ripping. So similar type scenario, 2020 November, you had this big, well, in fact, let's go through, you had the run up into the halving, sell off post halving. Okay, you started to have expansion, the beginnings of expansion, which we've got now. Okay, but you only really broke out in the December to January 2021, and VeChain peaked a lot earlier, right? A lot earlier, and it didn't have a second peak, not like Cardano and not like Bitcoin. Okay, it just had a bit of a bounce, no retest, and then a downtrend, right? Similar scenario here, November, December being the monthly breakout candle from the halving high this year. Okay, so we've now got expansion into Q4 next year that we're targeting, with potential for initial peak end of Q1, early Q2, you know, which puts it around here. And it'll probably be a lot higher than this, probably talking about 60, 80 cents, maybe VeChain, before a little bit of a pullback into Q4 next year. As I said, completely different type of scenario. We're going to see a lot of interest rates still being cut next year, right? Not like 2020, where it was emergency rate cuts and it was 150 basis points straight away within 2 months. We're going to see interest rate cuts next year too, okay? So next year is when we're really going to see major economies begin to expand further, right? So another example is, it was a, don't think it was Chainlink, was it ETH? Was it ETH? I think it was ETH, yeah. Another example is ETH. Again, similar thing, broke out November 2020, just expansion, and it had its peak November 2021. Similar thing here, expansion candle. We're probably going to break out this month in December, and we're targeting Q4 next year, right? And of course, this is just using 2020 and 2021 as an example. We use Bitcoin. We had a lot more data to play with Bitcoin to support that thesis, but I'm trying to keep this as simple and as condensed as possible. My thesis that I do have is a lot larger than this. It considers a lot more macro data than just what I'm talking about today, okay? But I do fully believe that the cycle top, or at least will be pretty damn close, will be next Q4, and that's when I will be exiting the market, okay? And I will be exiting some capital before the summer for a bit of a pullback to then reallocate, okay, for that final blow off top. Okay, so I think potentially, yeah, I think potentially that is it. So there's just some examples, just using VeChain, using Ethan, using Cardano, okay. And I guess what I can end with is you have to think about true retail, okay. A lot of us aren't true retail. We have been here for more than one cycle now, okay. True retail is people who are brand new to this cycle. They're only just getting into the market now, okay. They're only just getting excited now, and whilst it does feel a bit euphoric, it really isn't. And typically, when true retail enter the market, it's Bitcoin that piques their interest because they hear it over the news, they hear it over the radio, their friends are talking about it, people are talking about it around them, and that's usually their entry to crypto is Bitcoin. Okay, and then slowly they find themselves further along the risk curve. Okay, so they find themselves into XRP, which we've clearly seen, into Ethereum, which we're yet to see, but into Cardano, which we've seen, into VeChain, okay, Chainlink, some of these other major coins, and over time, as they start to accumulate gains, their capital rotates further down the line of the risk curve, okay, into mid caps, into narratives like AI, like gaming, like real world assets, and then further along into small caps, micro caps, and memes. All right, we're going to see exactly the same scenario here. And I've had a lot of questions over the past week, past 2 weeks, of people they're having a little bit of FOMO with the majors because they've put in these great big moves, these great big expansion candles, and they're thinking about chasing gains. Okay, they're thinking about rotating their capital out of these new cycle coins that they've built up over months, potentially even longer, to go and chase gains into what the retail are driving at the moment, and that is the so-called dino coins, right? When in reality is you want to be positioned now, especially you want to be positioned or looking to position into those tokens, into those narratives, into those mid to micro caps that really haven't started to expand. Okay, their expansion will last nowhere near as long as Bitcoin or majors, but they will be a lot more impulsive and a lot quicker. Okay, so you want to be positioned in them. Okay, and that's where I'm positioned. I'm still waiting for a lot of my investments to really start to move, like I'm seeing a lot of these majors. Okay, but you will find over the next month, potentially into January, that they'll begin to put their moves in. So I just want people to consider that. I'm just sitting on my hands. I'm reinvesting no more capital. I am doing nothing. I'm just enjoying the market for what it is, and I'm putting together my exit plan, right? And I am waiting for the inevitable expansion candles for a lot of these narrative plays that I've built my portfolio around, especially AI. Okay, so I hope that video helped. It was super basic stuff. I just wanted to kind of give you a bit of a rundown where we are in the cycle at the moment, this expansion phase, and give you a kind of a time frame where I'm looking to exit the market, right? We've considered prior cycles, right? We've considered the trajectory for the global liquidity, okay, M2 money supply, right, which is set to peak next year or early 2026. So give this video a like, please give it a share, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.